All right, we are ready to get started. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar on the 18 best ways to put entertainment on tap in 2018, co-hosted by Buzztime for Business and TapHunter. So a lot of really exciting content to go through today, so let's jump into it. First off, just to introduce our two co-hosts. This is me on the bottom there, Matt from TapHunter. I'm the product and marketing manager here, driving new product innovation and marketing initiatives. I thrive on helping businesses grow and figuring out ways to improve operations and marketing. I'm going to turn it over to William to introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Matt. My name's Will, and I am the Director of Demand Generation at Buzztime, and worked at several restaurants and fast casual places in my lifetime. Found a passion for marketing, and that is now basically everything I do is revolving around bars and restaurants and figuring out marketing ideas for them. And if you don't know anything about Buzztime, we are a national entertainment network. We mainly made our name through trivia in the 80s, and we're still going strong with that today.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. And yeah, just a couple words that I forgot to mention. TapHunter, we are a software system of tools for bars, restaurants, all kinds of businesses to manage and market their entire beverage and food programs. A lot of great services for businesses, and we also have a consumer application for people to connect with those businesses and find what they're serving. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. I see a lot of people kind of introducing themselves in the chat window. That's great. We're happy to have you all here. Just one thing to mention, please do feel free, if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to go ahead and pop those into the chat. And at the end, we will come back through and make sure we answer all of the questions that we get. So excellent. So just to quickly go over the agenda that we've got for today as we get started. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about why entertainment is good business and why it makes sense to focus on entertainment. And then Will's going to kind of talk through some in-venue entertainment kind of best practices and ideas and things like that. And we'll hop back over to me to talk about some great promotional hacks for getting the word out about your events. And then back over to Will to talk about 4 best ways to plan for success and make sure that your events go excellent. So let's jump into it. So entertainment is good business, and let's talk about why that is. So a couple of key reasons: increasing guest satisfaction, driving spending, inspiring loyalty, and boosting cover counts and getting larger group sizes in. So let's go into some of those in more detail. So increasing guest satisfaction. 61% of adults would rather spend money on an experience than on items. And this has really been a growing trend. So with entertainment, with events, you're really opening it up to a bigger experience for your customers, not just coming in to buy, a product or a food item or a drink item, but really coming in for an experience, for that really immersive kind of great time and something that's really memorable and something that is important and really draws people and really boosts satisfaction and make sure that people have the best possible time that they could. Really important. So also driving spending. 57% of millennials will pay more for exclusive events in particular. So maybe it's you have an event that costs a little bit of money to get into, or maybe it's just that people end up staying a little bit longer, having a little bit better time with their experience, and they end up buying a few more items while they're there. But events and entertainment are really a great way to drive spending, just excellent way to do that. So next is inspiring loyalty. 47% of millennials say that they're more loyal if you provide unique experiences. So I mean, you think about this in terms of maybe recurring events that happen same day every week or something like that. I definitely know a lot of people who come back and frequent the same places again and again for great events. And so if you can draw people in with your events and people have a great time and it's an excellent experience, you can really inspire loyalty and get people to keep coming back and really kind of forge this relationship with people that might be harder to do in the absence of entertainment and events. So also boosting crowd size. events and entertainment give people a reason to come in. They create a sense of urgency around a particular date and a particular time. And also kind of if you have midweek events, it can create a reason for people to come in maybe on a day that they wouldn't. If it's trivia on a Tuesday, maybe someone would have just been at home on a Tuesday, but instead they decide to come out and visit your business. So events, again, are a really great way to boost that crowd size. Maybe people end up bringing some of their friends as opposed to just going out, with a smaller group. And so in that way as well, can be just a great way to make sure that not only people are coming out and they have a reason to come on days they otherwise might not, but also they maybe bring more people and you end up having a larger crowd. There's a lot of great reasons why events are good business. So now moving on to the next section, I'm going to pass it on over to Will here, talk about in-venue entertainment.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm really going to piggyback off of the things that Matt just went over. So without those initial ideas that he put on the table, these events really wouldn't matter. So we really built these events off of those ideas that he just explained. So I'll be going over in-venue entertainment and some really good ideas on how you can really launch those in-venue entertainment ideas. So we'll go over being competitive and why that is important for in-venue entertainment ideas. So we'll have ways that we can gamify simple things that you're already doing. Another way to look at things is just making it a one-of-a-kind event. As he said, people are paying for experiences now, so try to be unique and different. Don't just hire a band that everybody else is hiring at that point. You're always going to have to see who is going to be running these events or who's overseeing this. You can have your own staff running these and leading these events, and you don't need somebody else to always come in to do these things. And then really making these experiences limited. So encourage people to RSVP and sign up for advanced sales too. It's really going to be important for some of these events to make people think that it's exclusive to be a part of them. All right, so the first thing we're gonna go over is tournaments. It's a basic idea, but you can use some simple tournament ideas just to bring people together and get them competitive against each other. It really picks up on this competitive nature that people enjoy, especially when they're going out with a group of friends. You like to be competitive with somebody that you're seeing every day, that you can tell them, hey, remember last week when I beat you at poker and went out to the bar? It's conversation starters that are going to keep your venue's name in their mouth too. So it'll bring people back into your venue. So one idea is having poker at your venue. It's something that's close to us at Buzztime because we actually have poker on our devices, and we see people run tournaments all the time. And they'll have about 2 different tables with about 10 people actually running a poker tournament. So there's no live cash betting on this, so they actually can still do this and stay within all the legal regulations that could be in your area. Another idea is doing like a mini Olympics, like a bar game Olympics. So darts, cornhole, ring toss, and just setting up a scoring system for your venue. It's really simple. It wouldn't take too much of a setup to do that, and that's great promotional material you can use for ads and things like that. And then the last thing is bracket challenges. So this comes extremely simple. Just getting 2 different beers, and we can go over later on. We'll go about how we can kind of mix different beers together, but just have people vote on one beer versus another beer. And every week you can just do a different bracket. So it gets people to come back in. So week 1, you do 2 beers. Week 2, you do another 2 beers, and you just set up a bracket like the NCAA tournament almost. So you can do something like that. Next, moving forward, we're going to be going over tap takeovers. So I think everybody knows the brewery uprising right now. Every town has a new brewery in it. And it'd be easy to partner up with some of these smaller breweries to be in your venue. They want to get their name out there, and you want to attract people to your bar or restaurant or any venue, be that. So finding a local brewery to partner up with and just having their beers on tap, but really promote that you are they're doing a tap takeover with all of their beers at your venue. That'll bring people in that are wanting to taste new beers, or these beer enthusiasts that are popping up all over the place. You could have the actual brewer on your premise that day too, to have the brewer actually talk about how the brew process goes and the different notes they should be tasting. So it'd be really smart to involve that brewery inside of your venue too. And another easy thing just to keep that RSVP list and really get advanced sales too is to provide swag. And usually the brewery would actually provide that for you. So you could just do first 20 people get a pint glass with the brewery's logo on it or something. So ideas like that, just to incorporate people to want to sign up earlier, they would be the first, say, 20 in line, they would get some type of swag. So next up, we have Live Music 2.0. The reason we dubbed it 2.0 because we don't want to just think the same old karaoke bar that everybody goes to. You need to gamify it a little bit. So think bringing American Idol into your venue. So this is sort of the one of the places where you could either get staff or regulars to be the host, where you don't need to hire people from outside to come in, but you have your staff be the host like an American Idol. You can set up the chairs in a row and have a karaoke night and vote on who's doing better. And maybe the staff can give away free promotions to those who are actually performing well. So you could say if you get a score above a 5, you get a half off your next beer, or you get a free shot on the house if you get above a 7. So there's different ways that you can gamify it and also create it into an event as well. All right, next we have Matchmaker. So you've heard of speed dating. It's typical, pretty much any city that you go into, any town. Singles are a great way to bring people in to your establishment if you can come up with a way on how to do it. So not just speed dating, but think about networking events too. They're becoming very popular. Everybody's trying to meet people in their industry, and if you have a place where there's a certain industry that might be bigger than others, you can host a niche market networking event, and you can add a little twist on it. So not just doing networking at your bar, but maybe every table that they sit at, they get a little tasting of a different type of beer. So people are wanting to come for more than just a networking event. And then that'll bring them back too if they taste a couple beers that are exclusive only to you, or that not many other places have around them. Another simple idea is a stoplight party. So you can have singles wear green if they're taken, wear red if it's complicated. Oh, sorry, green if they're single. That was my fault. Red if it's complicated, and yellow if they're open for anything. So you can just think of little twists on ideas to promote a singles event. So another thing, I'm sure everybody's tried to do theme nights, but we have a couple of ideas that could kind of throw a twist on your regular theme night idea. So everybody does holiday theme nights. So you always have your St. Patty's Day party, your Halloween parties. So all of those things everybody expects to be at a bar or restaurant. But kind of get creative with those offbeat holidays. You could do a halfway to St. Patty's Day, or a mid-year Christmas. So you get people to dress up in different outfits like they were going out for St. Patty's Day, or they're going out for Christmas. So just make it fun and exciting, and people would actually enjoy kind of doing that offbeat sort of idea there. Another way you can do is just that old school hip hop. It's really big with Gen X, millennials, pretty much any old school hip hop you put on in any bar, you're going to get some people dancing to it. So just having a full theme night and promoting that is going to drive a crowd that's into that music to your venue. Another simple way, if you have a good social media following, there's also other ways you can do a paper sign up, but just having people connect with you maybe on social media and request songs, even request songs at the venue. If you actually could watch your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed as people are putting in requests, and then you can play the songs. So not only do you get people getting what they want, but you're also getting a following in your social media and a use out of your social media as well. So tasting experiences. So not just the old, here's a piece of food, here's a beer to taste with it or a wine, but really try to think outside the box here. So as we said, those tap takeovers, think about craft brews and street food. So maybe you have someone that's a local, a small restaurant and a local craft brewery. You can pair their food together and really give people an experience they can't find anywhere else. So that's really what Matt brought up earlier, is that experience. You want to find some ideas that's going to only be exclusive to your location. So finding other people to partner with that aren't partnered anywhere else is a great way to do that. Another good idea is maybe artisan spirits. So I know I'm a whiskey man myself. So if a local bar promoted me that I got to try, say, 10 different whiskeys for a set price, I would be in right away. So those type of ideas really can rotate as well. So you could do whiskey, you could do vodkas, and you can maybe do a different spirit every month. And there's so many different whiskeys, so many different vodkas out there that you'd be able to repeat the liquor and change up the actual bottles that you were getting people to try as well. So the one that's closest to my heart, because Buzztime is all about trivia, is live trivia. So this is another one where you really can get your own staff to build relationships with the customers. So if you have a staff member or bartender that you feel would be great just to host a night of trivia, it's great because they already know everybody in the venue. They'll know the regulars. They'll be able to create that connection with people that are in the event. So having live trivia also, it's great for the midweek kind of lull and getting people to drive in groups. They don't just come in singular to play trivia. They usually get their friends to come in with them. It's great to promote these type of things to local businesses because it's a great team building activity. And they could start creating a weekly event with themselves, like, hey, we're grabbing everybody to go play trivia. And that's going to bring constant revenue back to your bar if you're keeping an event like that rolling. The one big thing that we always say when hosting a trivia or any like competition event is really focus on the pricing and know what your customers want. It doesn't even have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be expensive pricing, something that just connects with your customers. Something great that you would never think our company would give away is just this little koozie that has a place to put a hole in the side of your beer. People love that. I think it's $5 a piece for them. So pricing doesn't have to be expensive. Just find what your audience loves and they'll want to win the game. Next up, we have being charitable. So this one can be a hit or miss as an owner. You're thinking, hey, I have to give stuff away, but being charitable is such a good thing to bring people into your event, and it also makes you feel great in the end. I know anytime that I give away money to a charity or I help out a charity or volunteer, I feel great 100% of the time. And the other people that are being part of a charity are going to think of your location when they talk about the event too. It's great word of mouth promoting. So you are part of a charity, say you do a run or a walk, or you're part, or at least sponsor a run or a walk. You could have an after party at your venue. It'd be great to get everybody after a 5K to get into your location, and maybe there's half off for everybody who participated in the race. People are going to bring up your location. Oh, where'd you go? What'd you do after the race? Oh, well, we went to Barry's. Your name is going to come up in people's conversation because of the charitable donation you gave at that point. Things you can do at your own bar. You can have like a battle of the bands for charity. Maybe some of those taps of the craft brewers you bring in, you can say $1 of every beer ordered is going to a certain charity. And that'll get people to actually focus on those beers over others others because people want to give away to a charity at that point. You can even have some guest bartenders come in from some organizations to kind of put some name recognition around their cause. And same thing, you would have them give a portion of the donations to their charity of choice. It's a great way to promote a good cause and get people to feel good about your location. So this one I really like, and I think it's really big in the younger crowd at the moment, is really these 101 classes, that really going back to school in a sense. But I think this is a great way to promote that RSVP sign up mentality. Having different ways to teach people in your bar or restaurant. So just think about something like a Bar Games 101, where you would teach people how to play different bar games like pool or darts. And you could bring a professional in that would actually teach a class on how to throw a dart better or how to just play different games of pool. Those type of things will drive people in that are curious about different games and actually make them more comfortable come back to your location and continue to play those games. A great one, we've been talking about craft beer. You can run a brewing club. Every once a month, you have a brewmaster come in and teach the home brewing basics, getting people to brew their own beer. And you never know, those people could become people that you have on your tap takeover one day too. Chef or bartender demos. I think this one's always great, is just having your bartender or chef kind of do a demo for a small class of 20. I think the bartender one is much easier. You can have them learn how to make 5 different drinks in a night. That type of stuff really works. And you don't even have to have your customers pour the alcohol if anybody's worried about that. You can just have mock alcohol filled in the bottles that they'd be pouring in just to get the mixtures right. All right, and this is the last tip for the in-venue entertainment here. This is a great one to get that competitive spirit in your staff and also bring that competition out to the group as well. So a bartender chef face-off. So you could have your bartenders make 2 different drinks and do a mix-off, and you could have live scoring too. So everybody gets to vote right away, and then the bartender that made that drink maybe put the tally up on the wall to see what drink is winning. And maybe you do a special. You get both drinks for $8 or something. But to get to people to order those drinks and vote on them, it's a great way to bring competition into the bar. Same thing with chef versus chef. You can make 2 different plates, appetizers, and get people to vote on them during that night, and even that week, that month, and then maybe it becomes part of the menu after that. So those mini ideas really will gather that community feeling. All right, I'm going to pass it back to Matt, and he's going to go over some promotional hacks.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Will. Just went through a ton of great ideas for what kinds of events and entertainment you might offer in your venue, and that kind of leads really well into how do you promote your events, because you could have the best event idea, and if you don't really spend the time to think about how to promote it and execute on that well, it won't matter as much if you can't really drive people into it. So promotion is a really exciting part of the whole idea of planning and putting on events. So we're going to cover a couple of things like promoting early and often. Maybe even thinking about having a whole year calendar to think ahead of time about your events and really kind of pre-plan how you might want to promote them. And then really being smart about measuring how well your promotional efforts worked and things like that as well. So jumping into promotion, one of the first areas we want to cover is social media. So I think it's no secret that a huge amount of your customers are using different kinds of social media, and they're a great way to promote not only your events, but your business and really everything that you do. So some quick numbers, 4 in 5 adults in America are on Facebook, and 76% of them are on it daily. So really the most adopted social network. Facebook is obviously a huge promotional channel and one that really everyone should be taking advantage of because it is free exposure, free promotion, and just a great way to get in front of the most people possible of every demographic. Snapchat is a great one if you're looking at really reaching a younger crowd, maybe a specifically millennial crowd. 60% of Americans under 35 are on Snapchat. And so, if you're really looking to kind of maybe diversify or attract a different audience that is perhaps younger, you could consider maybe starting up a company Snapchat and specifically promoting your events through Snapchat. As well, Instagram. So 40% of all social media users are on Instagram now. It's a very visual medium. It lends itself really well to events and also to kind of promoting kind of anything in venue that has a visual element to it. Definitely kind of takes advantage of maybe some different things. Like on Facebook, you could have certain kinds of posts, whereas on Instagram, you maybe have more kind of image-heavy presence. And one really important thing in talking about social media, some best practices for making sure the most amount of people see your promotions on social media. One is video, and particularly video on Facebook. The Facebook algorithm prioritizes different kinds of posts differently, and different people may or may not see what you post. One great way to make sure that the most people are seeing your post is by making a video. Facebook prioritizes video. It's really important for them. And so if you end up being able to make a promotional video for your events, that's one great way to guarantee that the most people possible will in fact see it in their feed. Another on that same note is going live. This really goes for both Facebook and Instagram, and Snapchat is essentially a live platform in and of itself. But when you go live on either Instagram or Facebook, all of your followers get a notification at that moment that you are in fact doing a live video and not to miss it. So it's a great way to really make sure you're taking advantage of the ways that these social networks let your followers know about something that you're doing. So live video is one of the newer ones, and it's really a great way to catch people's attention. Maybe particularly during the event, you can go live and show people how much fun it is and what's going on, and it's a great way to kind of drive that last minute attention and promotional value. So a lot of great things to do on social media to promote your events. And one thing that's important is understanding there's a lot of options out there when it comes to social, and really trying to understand, where your audience is paying attention, what kind of demographics you have, and maybe what you want, who you want to reach, and things like that. And really being strategic about what channels you want to target and focus on with social media. So moving on, maximizing in-venue opportunity is another great idea for doing your promotions. So everything you can possibly do within your venue to make sure people know about your events and are driving the most possible awareness. One great idea here is your staff and having them invite friends and people that they know. Maybe even have some kind of contest within your staff. The person who brings in the most other people wins something like that. How to make it fun and get people involved to really get the word out and make it as big as possible. Digital signage is another one that's definitely near and dear to my heart because we offer a lot of that here at TapHunter. So if you have TVs, think about ways that you might be able to promote your events up on a TV. Maybe make a promotional image, and you can kind of pop that in there and have that show during certain maybe peak hours or specific times, just to make sure that people are aware of your events, and make sure you're doing that in enough time in advance for people to be able to plan. Great way to get people's attention. And if you don't have TVs or digital signage, there's other things you can do. If you have a chalkboard, if you have anything else within your venue that you can make people aware of your events, it's a great way to maximize exposure. Also, having posters in your windows and things that face the street. So for people walking by, people who may not know about your business or who do, great way to make sure that they see about your events and know what's coming up, things like that. Also, banners and signs outside as much as you're allowed to do, depending on kind of the local jurisdiction and things like that. But making sure that street traffic and passersby are really going to see what's going on, what's coming up, and drive that kind of excitement and awareness around your events, maximizing as much as you can in your venue. So another thing that you can do is to kind of put together a street team, and this might sound daunting, but it could be as simple as 1 to 2 employees, or if you're an enterprising person, even yourself, putting together maybe some flyers, putting them around town, maybe particularly parts of town that you're trying to reach a new audience or drive some attention in your particular neighborhood. You can contact local bloggers if you can find them on the internet and see who might be prominent in your area, or even the more old school channels, radio, TV, and print. Seeing if there's ways to maybe collaborate with local media sources, or to get your name out there in that way as well. And then another one is maybe an appearance by a local celebrity. If there's anyone in your town who is one, who you might be able to reach out to, build a relationship with, or a social influencer who, great ways to find these on Instagram. You can kind of search for particular locations. You can go in and search maybe post tagged at your establishment or another one, or even post tagged in a particular area of your city, and just really look for the top posts and see who's attracting the most attention. Maybe reach out to that person, offer them something for free if they can bring in a certain amount of people and really drive the word from there. It really gives you a great authentic kind of way to do promotion outside of just your own kind of sphere of influence, and tapping into someone else's social network as well. Then another one that is a really just great promotional channel is email marketing. So, maybe sending out specific communications to, VIPs or people who are subscribed to your email list, inviting them to your events and making a real personal feel and connection. If you have a loyalty program, sending an email to your members first to kind of clue them in and get them in on the ground floor before your events are widely publicized, to kind of drive that special connection for those who are loyal. Maybe if it costs money, they can get some kind of discount on it or something like that. And then really just being smart about collecting emails and different ways to do that. So having your wait staff build your email list and collect emails, using your social media channels, not just to drive awareness, but maybe also to build your email list in between events. And then your website, making sure that you're collecting emails and building an email list from your website. And one really important thing to know and to think about with email marketing is how it's different from social media, in that you really own your email list. And it's this very personal connection that you get to kind of define. So with social media, Facebook, for instance, you have a lot of followers and you can tap into this huge network that is harder to build yourself. But one of the things to keep in mind is that in that scenario, Facebook really controls how many of your followers see your communications and when, and things like that. Whereas with email, it's really just a direct connection. You send an email, people receive it. There's no kind of third party in between deciding who will see what when. And so the control that you have over email marketing is a great benefit, particularly when, recently we've seen Facebook update their algorithm to show fewer posts by publishers and brands and make it even harder for you to reach your followers. And so that element of control is a really important one with email marketing. Great channel to take advantage of, and there's a lot of really easy and even some free tools to make that happen. So another great way to promote your events. So here I'm going to pass it back on over to Will, and he's going to talk about some ways to plan for success.
Thanks, Matt. Yes, this will be our final section for today's webinar, and I really think this section is important. We talked about some great ideas on how to promote, what to promote, and why to promote these things. But without planning for success and setting a plan up for what you're doing, you're never going to be able to repeat that plan ever again. So think about creating this event checklist, using it as a template for all the other events you do, and it'll help you recount what happened in the past and just be organized for the current event. So first, the setup. One easy thing to do is just creating a floor plan. That's going to help you understand where things go for the event, where you should be putting certain staff at certain times. And I know it sounds like, oh, I already know my bar, I already know where everything is, but you don't know which staff member may not understand what you understand. So creating that floor plan might help other people as well. Ensuring you have proper inventory for that event too. Hopefully, if the event is successful, you're going to sell off a lot more than you do in a normal event. So just understanding what inventory you may need extra of during that event, and that'll help you plan for future events too. and just which promotions you're going to launch and where you're going to launch them, pre-planning them. Because I know personally, if I get an idea in my head, I want to do this event, I'm just thinking of all these things I possibly could do. But just getting them on paper helps you organize where and what and who is going to be doing these things. So really just outlining these goals and how you're going to measure these goals really will help the entire process and help for future success too. So for staffing, this is such an easy thing to overlook when planning for an event. But what do you really need? Who needs to be there? Which people actually might need to be on backup for an event? Because that could be the worst thing is you're focusing on your head bartender to show up and he is going to be the host and he ends up getting sick for that night. So having those things of who's going to be backing up who for each event really would help pre-plan for anything. But do you need security? Things like how many bartenders or servers are we going to need? Are we going to need more than a regular night? Are we going to have people that are going to be greeting, such as a host, or just walking around during the event night? That might even be you yourself. It could just be an owner that just walks around and just kind of asks people how the event's going, what we can do better, just giving them a friendly smile and a handshake. People really appreciate things like that, especially when trying an establishment for the first time. So just notifying the staff of when things are happening. That's something that easily gets overlooked is some staff members not having the answers to simple questions. It could be a big reason why somebody doesn't show up for an event. So keeping your staff notified of all of the things that you're doing is also going to be very important. And an easy way to do that is having an initial kickoff meeting. Is after you have all of your plans set up, you know, the floor plan, the inventory, and all of this, you can just have a kickoff meeting explaining this to your staff, and they might ask some interesting questions that you didn't think of, and you can get those answers in the future. Another thing is just overall management. So basically understanding at the event who is the go-to person. Is it the lead bartender of Problems Arise? Is it the owner of Problems Arise? Really understanding of who is in charge, who's the next person in charge for that event. It doesn't have to be an ongoing manager. It could just be an event coordinator that you set for the night to make sure that things are flowing correctly. A good thing to think about is just what if something goes wrong. Like I said before, if you're having a host for the night, think about who that backup would be, just in case something went wrong. Thinking about that worst case scenario is going to help in the end. And always keep in the back of your mind about capacity. I'm sure everybody knows this, but if you oversell your event, you're going to make customers happy. If you overpack your event, you could get customers to be happy. It's great to get too many people in there because you're going to be selling. But if the experience isn't good, people aren't going to come back. And last but not least, just rules and regulations. So just understanding what you can and can't do, and just be careful with some things that you're running because there are laws behind certain things. For instance, just be careful with the types of contents that you run. Make sure that it complies with the local and state regulations. There may be some of the events tonight where the pricing might not be legal to run at your establishment. So always check on those things. A simple Google search will help you in that situation. Just avoid the lottery by chance or consideration. That's usually a big one in different areas that we see. So just a quick thing to look at before promoting this event and getting in trouble in any way or possible. So just understanding what promotion you're running, the contest you're running, and understanding that what your area allows and disallows is great to pre-plan for, and that'll always help for future events. All right, and that is it for today. I'm going to pass it back to Matt to wrap this up.
Excellent. Thanks, Will. So yeah, lots of great things that we covered, and I really want to thank everyone for joining us. I was looking through the chat there as we were going through the presentation, and I saw one question did pop up from Gabriel Gonzalez. He asked, what are some tools you recommend for email management? So that's a great question. There's a lot of ones out there. Some that I personally know and could recommend would be, one is MailChimp, great tool for managing emails, building lists. Another would be Constant Contact or ActiveCampaign. lots of really awesome tools out there for email list management. Many of them integrate into sites like WordPress and Squarespace and things like that. So what you want to use might depend on, some factors like how easy it is to integrate into your website or other things like that. So those are some great tools for email management, certainly. I didn't see a ton of other questions in here. So if anyone does have any questions after the fact, please do feel free to email either myself or Will, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Once again, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be sending out a recording of the presentation afterwards, and hope everyone has a great day.
Have a great day, everybody.